recording starts. Okay, next topic is wavelength division multiplexing. As we already discussed in the last slide, again it works for analog signals, right? So wavelength division multiplexing is an analog multiplexing technique to combine optical signals. Okay, you have to remember this. And this WDM is designed to use high data rate capability of the optic fiber cable. Okay, see, as with this method opt fiber optic cable, whereas the previous one, it is twisted pair cable transmission link, where but this WDM is used for optic fiber optic cable. Okay, and you all know that optical fiber, the data rate is higher than the data rate of if you use any metallic transmission cable. So what does it mean? That if you use fiber optic cable as the transmission link, okay, then its data rate is higher when compared to other metallic transmission cable. Okay, so wavelength division multiplexing is specifically used for optic, that means fiber optic cable. Okay, so here unlike FDM, the method followed here it's same. That is, multiplexing is done at the sender side and demultiplexing done at the receiver side. Okay, so here optical signals are considered. So you can see in this image, these are the optical signals which is transmitted through fiber optic channels. Okay, the same idea whatever followed in FDM, the same is followed here, but the transmission link differs. Okay, so we are combining different signals of different frequencies. Okay, so that is what about wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, so here as this represents multiplexer and this represents demultiplexer, right? Here very narrow band of light, see these are the lights. Okay, very narrow band of light from different sources are combined to make a wider band of light. Okay, so then it is passed over the transmission link, and once it is received at the receiver, the signals are separated by the demultiplexer. So the idea remains same as the FDM, but initial input lines will be narrow band of light. Okay, and these are combined to form a wider band of light. So you can see here it is represented lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 are the frequency of of each signal, right? So when it is combined, it forms a wider band of light. Okay, and the same will be separated at the receiver side with the help of demultiplexer. I hope this is clear. Okay, so you have to remember this. This is specifically used for the analog to combine optical signals. Okay, so now how to implement this? See here, as you have studied in the physics, the combining and splitting of light sources are easily handled by prisms, right? You might have studied in your 11th or 12th, right? So where the combining and splitting of light sources is actually handled by prism. Okay, so the same thing used here, that is prism. This represents the prism, the shape, right? So this prism bends a beam of light based on the angle of incidence and frequency. Okay, the same logic is used here. This multiplexer, you can see the multiplexer here. This can be used or you can say multiplexer can be made to combine several input beams of light. Okay, it is used to combine at the multiplexer side several input beams of lights are combined here. Okay, and each containing a narrow band of frequencies. So this has a narrow band of frequencies, and this leads to, once it is combined, it generates output of this will be one output beam of wider band of frequency. See, when you add all these values, obviously it leads to a wider band of frequency, right? The same is delivered at the receiver. So this demultiplexer, what it will do, it follows the reverse process of this. That means it splits up the light which is received with at the receiver end with the help of demultiplexer. Okay, that is about the implementation of wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, so with this application of wavelength division multiplexing is SONET network. Okay, so the where multiple optical fiber lines are multiplexed and demultiplexed. So you just remember here, that is the application of this particular method is SONET network. Again here the multiplexing and demultiplexing is used. Okay, that is about what WDM, that is wavelength division. One second. Yeah, wavelength division multiplexing. This SONET stands for synchronous optical network. Okay, in this network, this particular wavelength division multiplexing is used. Okay, and another new method is followed, that is called as dense WDM. In short, you can call it as DWDM. So here it can multiplex large number of channels by spacing channels very close to one another. So if you, in this method, actually it achieves greater efficiency compared to what we discussed in the previous slide. So that is new method is called as dense WDM. Okay, that is all about wavelength division multiplexing. I'll just summarize what we discussed here. Okay, so wavelength division multiplexing is particularly used for the analog signal which combines optical signals. Okay, and here multiplexing and demultiplexing is followed at the sender side. For different narrow band frequencies are considered from different connection, which is combined and it forms a single you can call wider frequency line, right, output, which which is transmitted over the fiber optical cable. Okay, fiber optic cable which is passed over the or transmitted over fiber optic cable, which will be of higher bandwidth. Okay, so that you have to remember here. And at the receiver side, it is demultiplexed and it separates the signals and it delivers it to the receivers. Okay, and with the help of prism, this will be implemented at this multiplexer. It combines all the signals, and at the demultiplexer, it splits up the received signal, right? So, and application is that, so it is used in the SONET, that is synchronous optical network, where multiple optical fiber lines are multiplexed and demultiplexed. One new method is followed to do this task, that is dense WDM, where large number of channels are multiplexed by spacing channels very close to one another. This method is followed to achieve greater efficiency. Okay, that is about wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, and next method, third method is time division multiplexing. As I already told you, this time division multiplexing is used for digital signal, right? So this is used for digital signal. So let's see the definition of this time division multiplexing. This is a digital process that allows several connections to share the high bandwidth of a link. Okay, so when multiple input lines signals are combined, then it will be passed over the high bandwidth link, okay, where it will share the bandwidth of that particular link before delivering it to the receiver end. Okay, so let's see the diagram, then you will understand it properly. Okay, so here you can see these are the input line which are given as input for this multiplexer. Okay, here you can see this is the high bandwidth data link. Okay, and the data will be delivered at the receiver end. At the receiver end, demultiplexer will be there, and this will separate each signal. Right. So now here you can see at the link, oh, what is happening. See, instead of sharing a portion of bandwidth as we studied in FTM, here time is shared. Okay, see here, this slot is for first connection, this slot is for second connection, this slot is for third one, and this slot is for fourth one. Okay, in this way, the bandwidth of the link will be shared, not the portion of the bandwidth will be shared, but time is shared between all the connections that has been multiplexed. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, so that it says that is each connection occupies a portion of time in the link. Instead of sharing a portion of bandwidth, it occupies a portion of time in the link. Okay, so that is one thing you have to remember. And since there are four connections are there in this example, so 1 2 3 4, that is 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. In this way it occupies the link sequentially. Okay, that is about time division multiplexing. Fine. So now this time division multiplexing, as I said, it is digital multiplexing technique which combines several low rate channels. So it combines several low rate channels into one high rate link. Okay, you have to remember this. It combines many channels which is of low rate and forms one that will be of high rate. Okay, so here time division multiplexing is divided as two different schemes. One is synchronous, another one is statistical. Okay, so do remember this is applied for the digital signals, right? And this is implemented by following two schemes. One is synchronous, another one is statistical. Fine. So let's see the first one. What happens, I mean, how the synchronous time division multiplexing is implemented. Okay, so let's start with this. And here one important thing before explaining this diagram, you have to remember each input connection has an allotment in the output even if it is not sending the data. So as of now, you just remember this. I'll consider another diagram. There you will understand the statement of this. Okay, so uh, let's move on to the diagram here, whatever I have given here. Here you can see the data flows. See here, this is one connection. This is another connection considered. This is another connection considered. And these input lines are multiplexed with the help of multiplexer. That means combined with the help of multiplexer at the sender side. Okay. Now, what happens here? The data flow. Say here A1, A2, A3. This all together you can call it as data. Okay. So this is one input line, this is one input line, or this is one input line. So in this example, there are three input lines or input connection. Okay. So in this TDM, synchronous time division multiplexing, the data flow of each input connection is divided into units. To remember, whatever the data that you want to transfer it over the transmission link, it is divided as in units. Okay, so if I consider this is the first input connection, the data that need to be passed from this connection is divided as units. So how many units are there? 1, 2, 3 for the first connection, right? Let me consider the second connection and it is divided as units. So with respect to that, B1, B2, B3 are the units. For third connection, input connection, C1, C2, C3 are the units. Okay, so now here input, each input occupies one input time slot. See, here A1, B1, C1. These are the input from three connections, right? Isn't it? So it says that each input occupies one input time slot. A1, B1, C1 occupies one input time slot. This T, whatever mentioned here, this represents the input time slot. Okay, and then A2, B2, C2. Again, it occupies second, you can say, input time slot, and same goes with third unit. Okay, so I'm saying this is input unit, right? A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2, and A3, B3, C3, right? So this unit can be one bit of data, or it can be one character of data, or it can be one block of data. Okay, so this has to be multiplexed at the sender side. Okay, now each input, whatever input I have considered here, I mean each input unit, it may be A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. Okay, each input unit becomes one output unit and occupies one output time slot. So to remember, whatever the input unit present here, the maybe A1 to C3, all this. Okay, so each input unit becomes, you can see here, okay, it becomes one output unit. This is one output unit. Okay, and occupies one output time slot, and it occupies one output time slot. You can see here, this T is nothing but this T here. So in this T, you can see all the input unit of each flow, right? So A1, B, C1. Okay, so that is what it says. Each input unit becomes one output unit and occupies one output time slot. Okay, A1 occupied some time slot, B1 occupied, C1 occupied. In the same way, A2, B2, C2. In the same way, A3, B3, C3. Okay, I hope this is clear for you. Okay, then if an input time slot is T, see here, if the input time slot is T seconds, the output time slot is, that is output time slot, this is, okay, please you have to remember this. The output time slot is T divided by n seconds. Okay, T divided by n. N is nothing but the number of connections here. With respect to this example, 3 connections I have considered. That's why n value is substituted with the value 3. Okay, so you that is 3, that is given here. Okay, so altogether you have to remember that the input connections are divided into input units. Okay, and this input unit occupies one input time slot. Okay, and this unit may be a character or a bit or a block of date. Okay, so when this input data is, input unit is multiplexed, it becomes one output unit. Okay, and it occupies one output time slot. So you do remember this is in one input time slot. This is one input time slot, whereas this is one output time slot. Okay, for each input, it is the same. For each input unit, it will be having one output time slot. Okay, and this t represent input time slot, and this t divided by n represents the output time slot. Fine. I hope I'm clear to everyone. So in this way, after multiplexing, the output will be passed over the transmission link, okay, which will be of high uh, bandwidth rate. Okay, so now after this, you can see here the time slots. See, these are the time slots, right? These are the time slots. See, these time slots are grouped into frames. So these time slots are grouped into frames. Okay, and this one frame consists of one complete cycle of time slots. That is, see here three inputs are there, right? So that's why one frame. This is complete one frame, right? This complete consists of one complete cycle of time slots. That is A1, A1, B1, C1. This is one frame. A2, B2, C2, that is second frame. A3, B3, C3, that is third frame. Okay, so that is what it says. And then in a system with n input lines, if a system is with n input lines, each frame has n slots. Each frame has n slots. You see, if this is the frame, then how many slots it will be having? N slots. N slots is nothing but how many input lines you have considered. Okay, so that is what given here. With each slot allocated to carrying the data from the specific input line. So, okay, so that is how the synchronous time division multiplexing implemented and explained. So, do you have any doubts till this point, students? Please respond. Any doubts? You all there in the class, right? Please someone respond.
Yes,
No
no doubt.
doubts. No doubts. Okay. So that is about synchronous time division multiplexing. Okay. So here with respect to this topic, you have to remember few points. So that is listed here. The input bit duration is the inverse of bit rate. Okay. So then output bit duration is 1/4 of the input bit duration. The output bit rate is the inverse of output bit duration, and the frame rate is always the same as the input rate. So you have to remember these points so that you can solve this problem. So one problem given in this. So let's see. Uh, so here the synchronous time division multiplexing is used with a data stream for each input and one data stream for output. So it means it has a data stream, that is input data stream here, and it gives you one output data stream. Okay, and you know that the output in the form of frames, right? So here input you can see it is here only they have given the unit of data is 1 bit. As I said, the input unit may be a bit, or it may be character, or it may be block of data, right? So with respect to this example, they have given unit of the data is 1 bit. That is 1 bit. It may be 1 here with respect to this input line. 0 with respect to this input line, again 1 with respect to this input line, and again 0 with respect to this input line. And the same is present in the frame as well. This is 1 0 1 0, that is there in the first frame. 1 triple 0 in the second frame. 1 0 1 1 third frame. 1 triple 0 fourth frame. 1 0 1 0 in the last frame. Okay, so that is how the frames are generated and transmitted over the output link. Okay, for this data, and one more thing, they have given the input rate, that is bandwidth followed for input line is what? 1 Mbps. Okay, for this you have to find out what is the input bit duration, what is the output bit duration, what is the output bit rate, and output frame rate. Okay, so now we'll see how to solve this problem. First one is what? So you have to find out input bit rate. So I just listed the what statements in the note, right? The same is implemented for this problem. So that is the input bit duration. First, they have asked input bit duration. What is input bit duration? Which is inverse of bit rate. What is bit rate? It is given here. See here, where is it? Bit rate, that is 1 Mbps, right? So this is the bit rate that is given for each connection. That I'm just substituting that. Input bit duration is nothing but reverse of the bit rate. Okay, so that's why inverse, in the sense you have to consider this 1 divided by 1 Mbps. That comes to 1 microsecond. Okay, the second question, what is the output bit rate? So output bit rate is 1/4 of the input bit duration. So you have already calculated input bit duration here. You just substitute that. So output bit duration is equal to 1 divided by 4 microseconds. Okay. Next question. What is output bit rate, which is inverse of this? So that's why 1 divided by 4 microsecond, which gives you 4 Mbps. Okay. And last one, what is the frame rate, right? Frame rate is same as any input rate. Any input rate is, input rate here given as 1 Mbps. So that is represented in the form of frames per second. That is 1 Mbps is nothing but 10 lakh frames per second. So this is the solution for this problem. So all you have to remember these points, then you can solve the problem. It's easier one. Okay, so the second type of time division multiplexing is statistical. So in statistical, what happens, the slots matlab, slots in the sense, this one, these slots, sorry, these slots. Okay, these are the slots given for this input unit. Okay, so that I'm talking about that. Okay, so here the slots are dynamically allocated to improve bandwidth efficiency. Okay, just remember, as of now the slots are allocated dynamically. If there is a input in the input connection at time slot t, then only the slot in the frame will be allocated, or else no. I will see that. So next point is, only when an input line has a slot worth of data to send is it given. You let me consider the diagram, then you will understand it better. Now you understand, you just consider the first diagram. This is for the synchronous TDM. See here, there are 3 input lines. Okay, in each time slot with respect to input, uh, uh, with respect to this, there is A1, B1, C1 is not there. Data is not there at this time slot, right? And with respect to second time slot, A2 is there, B2 data at this input connection, it is not present, whereas C2 is present. So when it is converted into frames, you can see the time slot is assigned for A1 because data is present. Time slot for B2 is also present. Okay, even though there is no data here, but the slot is assigned for this. Okay, this is what happens in synchronous. When it comes to statistical, since here and here data is not there, the slots are not reserved for that. If any data is present with respect to this time slot, then only the slot will be assigned here. Output time slot will be assigned here. If it is not there, then the slot will not be assigned for the data. So that is about statistical time division multiplexing. See, I hope it's clear. So that is what I wanted to discuss about time division